I never meant for my life to feel like a movie scene. But there I was, leaning against the edge of her desk, trying to look casual while my pulse hammered like I'd just sprinted up 10 flights of stairs. Her office was too quiet. The kind of quiet that made you hear the second hand of the clock and the buzz of the overhead light. She was typing, or at least pretending to. Every few seconds her fingers hovered over the keyboard, as if she was searching for a reason not to look at me. I should have left. I'd delivered the file she asked for, and my part was done. But my feet didn't move. Maybe because I'd started noticing the way she bit her lip when she was thinking, or the faint lines at the corners of her eyes that made her look more human, less untouchable. Her name was Claire. My boss. Twice my age, give or take. Everyone said she was impossible to read. Calm, sharp, never giving more than she needed to. But that only made me pay closer attention. The longer I worked under her, the more I wanted to see the cracks. "You're staring again," she said without lifting her eyes from the screen. Her tone was flat, but there was the faintest twitch in the corner of her mouth, like she was daring me to deny it. I wasn't. You were. The imbalance was always like this. She'd toss out a single line, and I'd scramble to fill the silence. My words tumbled out faster than they should have. You looked distracted. Thought maybe you needed. Her typing stopped. Finally, she looked up. That steady gaze of hers could undo me in seconds, and she knew it. "Everyone's watching us," she said. Not scolding, not even warning, just stating it, like she was laying a card on the table. I glanced toward the glass wall of her office. She wasn't wrong. Our coworkers walked by often, their glances a little too long, their smiles a little too knowing. Whispers had a way of spreading like spilled ink. I swallowed, felt my throat tighten. I could have stepped back, could have laughed it off. Instead, the words slipped out before I could think. "Then let's give them something to talk about." For the first time, her composure faltered. Not much, just the briefest pause in her breath, the softest lift of her brow. But it was enough to feel like I'd touched something I wasn't supposed to. She leaned back slowly in her chair, crossing one leg over the other. The movement was deliberate, controlled. Her silence pressed down heavier than any lecture could. "Do you even know what you're saying?" she asked. The air felt charged. My palms itched. I wanted to laugh it off, call it a joke, but my mouth wouldn't move that way. Instead, I met her eyes. "Yeah, I do." Her lips parted, like she had something to say, but no words came. She tapped a pen against the desk instead, eyes flicking to the glass wall again. The world outside her office still humming, unaware of the storm building in here. I couldn't read her then. Was it regret? Curiosity? Or was she waiting for me to flinch first? The clock ticked once, twice, and then she stood up. That was when my chest tightened, because for the first time since I'd met her, I had no idea whether she was walking toward me or away. She didn't walk away. Claire stopped just a foot from me, close enough that I caught the faint scent of her perfume, clean, sharp, with something warmer underneath. My chest ached from holding still. She placed the pen she'd been tapping onto the desk, like she needed both hands free to keep control. "You're reckless," she said quietly. "I've been called worse." My attempt at humor fell flat. My voice cracked, betraying nerves I couldn't hide. Her eyes searched mine for a beat too long. Then she turned, moving toward the cabinet by the wall, pretending to look for a folder. That was her move, retreat into order, into tasks that didn't matter, anything to avoid standing still in the same feeling as me. "You don't know what you're asking for," she said with her back to me. "Then explain it." The words left my mouth before I thought them through. But maybe I wanted to see if she'd tell me the truth. Her shoulders stiffened. "I was married for 15 years. He walked out, left me with bills, silence, and an office that suddenly felt twice as big. Do you think I'm eager to gamble on someone who hasn't even lived half of what I have?" She turned then, arms crossed, as if bracing herself for whatever I might say. I swallowed hard. She was right. I hadn't lived half of what she had, but I had lived through my own kind of quiet disasters. "You think because I'm younger, I don't understand? My dad bailed when I was 9. My mom worked herself into the ground. I've been taking care of myself for a long time, Claire. Maybe not your kind of pain, but don't act like I've been floating." The silence after that was thick, heavier than the walls between us. For once, she didn't look away. I shouldn't have pushed. I knew it. She was my boss. The whole office already whispered when I stayed too long at her desk. The age difference wasn't a gap, it was a canyon. If it ever became something more, it would ruin her reputation, maybe even her career. And yet, every time she pulled back, I wanted to step closer. Her gaze softened for just a flicker, like she hadn't expected me to fight back with truth instead of flattery. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the softness vanished, replaced by the mask she always wore in meetings. "You're making this complicated," she said. Maybe it already was. The clock ticked again. A laugh floated in from the hallway. Somewhere out there, the world kept moving. But in her office, time felt suspended. She let out a breath, almost a sigh, and moved past me toward her desk. As she did, her hand brushed against mine, just a graze, light as air. I froze. She didn't look back, didn't apologize. But she didn't pull away either. That single touch held more than all the words we hadn't said. Her hand brushed mine, and for a moment, I thought she'd leave it there. But then the knock came. "Claire," a voice from the doorway. I jerked back so fast my hand hit the edge of the desk. Pain shot up my arm, but I bit it down. It was Marcus, one of the senior managers. Older, smug, the kind of guy who always lingered in her office too long. He leaned on the doorframe, eyes flicking between us with that faint smirk that made my stomach drop. "You got a minute?" he asked her, but his glance at me made it clear the question had layers. Claire's tone was crisp, professional. "Of course. Give me two." Marcus nodded, too slow, like he'd already seen more than he should. Then he left. The air in the room snapped tight. "You need to be careful," Claire said, not looking at me. She reached for a file, but her hand trembled just enough for me to notice. "So do you?" I shot back. She froze, file halfway out of the drawer. Then she pushed it back in and closed it. "This, whatever this is, it can't happen." I wanted to argue, but the words jammed in my throat. Because she was right. And yet, I couldn't stop replaying that fleeting touch, the way her body leaned infinitesimally toward mine before the knock. I said nothing. She said nothing. The silence burned. Finally, I broke it. "Do you regret it?" Her head whipped toward me, eyes sharp. "Regret what?" I held her gaze, letting it happen. She didn't answer. Her lips parted, then closed again. She turned away, walking to the window, arms wrapped tight across her chest. I stepped closer before I could stop myself. "Claire." She turned then, and for the briefest instant, our faces were too close. Her breath caught. Mine did too. My chest pulled forward, just enough, and then she stepped back. "Go," she whispered. The words sliced through me. I didn't mean go. Louder this time, though her voice wavered. I hesitated, every nerve in me begging to stay, to push, to take the step she wouldn't. But the door creaked again, and Marcus's voice drifted in. "You ready, Claire?" She straightened instantly, smoothing her blouse, pulling her walls back up. "Yes." I slipped out past Marcus without meeting his eyes. His smirk followed me down the hallway. In the elevator, my reflection stared back at me in the mirrored wall. Flushed cheeks, wide eyes, a mess of nerves. I told myself to let it go, to be smart, to walk away. But when my phone buzzed an hour later, it was her name on the screen. Just one line in the message: "We need to talk." After hours, my pulse jumped, because she wasn't letting go either. The office after hours felt like a different world. The hum of computers was gone, the air conditioning louder in the emptiness. Most lights were off, leaving only the glow from Claire's office spilling down the hallway like a secret. I told myself to turn around at least 3 times before I reached her door. I didn't. She was waiting inside, jacket draped over her chair, sleeves rolled to her elbows. She looked tired, but not weak. More like someone who'd been holding a heavy door shut for too long. "You came," she said. No greeting, no smile. Just fact. "You asked." For a moment, neither of us moved. Then she crossed her arms and leaned against her desk. "Marcus has been asking questions." My jaw clenched. "He saw us. He saw enough." She hesitated, then added, "He thinks you're infatuated. That I'm letting it happen." Are you? I asked. The question slipped out before I could stop it. Her eyes snapped to mine, sharp, warning, but also lit with something that made my stomach drop. Don't, she said, but her voice cracked, softer than she wanted. Don't what? I stepped closer. Don't ask? Don't notice the way you look at me when you think no one else sees? Don't admit you. Stop. She pushed off the desk, pacing now, arms folded tight, like she could hold herself together that way. You don't understand what this would cost me. Her words hit hard. Not because they weren't true, but because they carried fear, not rejection. I followed, slower, careful. Then tell me to leave. Tell me you don't feel anything, and I'll go. Her steps faltered. She faced the window instead of me. The city lights reflected in the glass framed her like she was caught between two worlds. She whispered, "You're too young. I'm old enough to know what I want." Silence. My chest ached with the weight of all the things unsaid. Every second she didn't answer felt like it was breaking me in half. Finally, she turned, and for the first time, her mask slipped. Her eyes were wet, her lips trembling as if holding back words she couldn't afford to release. "Do you know what it's like," she said, "to wake up every day knowing the best part of your life is already behind you?" I stepped closer. Too close. My voice came out low, raw. "Do you know what it's like to finally see someone, really see them, and know they'll never admit they feel it too?" We stood there, inches apart. The air between us was unbearable. My hand lifted before I realized it, hovering near hers. Not touching, just waiting. Her breath hitched. And then, the door handle rattled. We both froze. The door cracked open before either of us could move. It wasn't Marcus. It was Jenna, Claire's assistant. Barely 30, sharp as a blade, and notorious for noticing everything. Her eyes darted from Claire to me, then back again. Her brows arched, just slightly. "I left my keys," Jenna said, her voice too even, too careful. She crossed the office, grabbed them from the desk, and didn't hurry out. Instead, she paused at the doorway, turning just enough to let her words linger. "Long night." The click of the door shutting behind her was louder than any slam. Claire sank into her chair, pressing her palms to her forehead. "God." "She didn't," I started. "She did." Claire cut in, her voice sharp. "Don't fool yourself. She saw enough. And she'll talk." A knot tightened in my chest. "So what? Let them talk." She laughed, but it was bitter, broken. "You don't understand. Jenna isn't just anyone. She's close to Marcus. If he hears, this becomes more than gossip. It becomes ammunition." I wanted to reach for her, to say something that would steady her, but before I could, her phone buzzed on the desk. She stared at the screen. Didn't answer. "Who is it?" I asked. She hesitated. Too long. Then finally, "My ex." Her ex. The man who walked out years ago. "He wants to meet," she said, her voice low. "Says he's reconsidering things." The words landed like a punch. "So you're thinking about it?" My voice cracked, the jealousy too raw to hide. Her eyes snapped to mine. "Don't." But I couldn't stop. "After everything you told me about him, how he left you, how he made you feel invisible, you'd let him walk back into your life? And you're telling me I'm the reckless one?" Her face hardened. "He's my past. My mistake. You." She broke off, closing her eyes like the rest of the sentence might kill her. "Say it," I whispered. Her hands curled into fists on her lap. "You're the danger I can't afford right now." The words gutted me. I stepped back, breath ragged, trying to find something to hold on to. "So that's it. You'll let him back in, but shut me out." She didn't answer. The silence stretched, heavy, brutal. Finally, she whispered, "Maybe I already ruined too much. Maybe the safest choice is to let him think there's still something to salvage." I stared at her, heat rising in my chest, torn between anger and something like heartbreak. "And what about me?" She looked up then, eyes glassy, the mask completely gone for the first time. "You were never supposed to matter this much." The words lodged deep, sharp as glass. I opened my mouth, to fight, to beg. I wasn't sure, but the buzzing phone lit up again between us, his name glowing on the screen. She didn't reach for it this time. She just stared at me, and I realized the decision wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. I couldn't take my eyes off her phone. The name flashing across the screen might as well have been a knife between us. Her ex. The man who left. The man who suddenly wanted her back. Claire didn't reach for it. She just sat there, shoulders tense, eyes locked on me like I was the one demanding an answer. "Pick it up," I said finally. My voice sounded hollow, foreign in my own ears. Her lips parted. "What? Pick it up. If you still want him, pick it up. Let him back in." Her breath hitched. "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is." I stepped closer, pulse racing. "Because either you're still waiting for him to fix what he broke, or you're scared of what's happening here. Which is it?" Her hands gripped the edge of the desk. I saw the war on her face. Fear, longing, something close to shame. "Don't make me choose like this," she whispered. "You already are." The phone buzzed again, then went still. The silence afterward was deafening. Claire stood slowly, like the weight of it all was dragging her upward. "I can't promise you a future," she said, voice trembling. "I can't promise this won't destroy us both. You're younger, reckless, and you're terrified." I cut in. Her eyes glistened. "Yes, I'm terrified." I stepped closer until we were nearly touching. My chest ached with the truth pressing out of me. "So am I. But I'd rather ruin everything with you than go back to pretending none of this mattered." She flinched like the words struck her. For a long second, I thought she'd push me away. Instead, her hand lifted, fingers brushing my jaw so gently it nearly undid me. "You make it sound easy," she whispered. "It isn't." I caught her hand, held it against my face. "But it's real." Her body wavered forward, like gravity itself was pulling us together. I felt her breath against my lips, the hesitation trembling between us. Every nerve in me screamed to close the distance. And then she pulled back. Not far, just enough. Tears glistened in her eyes. "If we do this, there's no undoing it." I swallowed, throat raw. "Then don't undo it." Her phone buzzed again on the desk, loud and insistent. Neither of us looked at it this time. Instead, Claire closed her eyes, her forehead leaning against mine. No kiss, no collapse into the thing we both wanted. Just that fragile, trembling contact, the closest we'd ever come to admitting everything. In that moment, I knew she hadn't chosen him. She hadn't chosen me. Not yet. But she hadn't let go either. And maybe that was enough. The phone finally went silent. Neither of us moved. Her forehead rested against mine, her hands still in mine, the world outside that office forgotten. For the first time, I realized how tired she must have been, of holding walls, of hiding, of being stronger than she wanted to be. And maybe I was tired too, of pretending what I felt was some passing crush, of telling myself it was wrong when everything in me kept pulling toward her. She pulled back just enough to see my face. Her eyes searched mine like she was trying to find the version of me that wasn't dangerous, wasn't a risk. Maybe she didn't find him, but she didn't let go either. "I can't live my life through other people's whispers," she said finally. Her voice was quiet, but steady. "Not anymore." The words hit me harder than any confession could have. "Then don't," I said. Her laugh was small, shaky. "You make it sound simple." "It's not, but it's ours." And with that, the distance between us finally closed. Not a movie-perfect kiss. Not fireworks or violins. Just the soft, trembling press of her lips against mine. Hesitant, searching, like both of us were terrified it would break everything and save us at the same time. When we pulled apart, she didn't step back. She stayed there, hand against my chest, eyes locked on mine. "What about Marcus?" "Jenna?" she asked. I shrugged, though my heart was pounding. "They'll talk no matter what. Let them." She exhaled, long and heavy, like she was letting go of something she'd carried for years. The truth was, I didn't know how this would end. Maybe we'd survive it. Maybe it would collapse under the weight of every stare, every rumor, every reminder of the years between us. But standing there with her, I realized I'd rather risk the fall than spend one more day watching her from a distance. We left her office together that night, not holding hands, not giving anyone proof, just side by side, walking out into the dark parking lot where the city lights blurred like distant stars. At her car, She paused, fingers lingering on her keys. She looked at me like she was memorizing my face, just in case. This isn't going to be easy, she said. I smiled, though my chest ached with everything I didn't know. Nothing worth it ever is. For a long second, she didn't move. Then she leaned in and kissed me again, firmer this time, less hesitation. A promise, or maybe just a beginning. When she finally drove away, I stood there in the cool night air, heart pounding, knowing nothing in my life would ever be the same. And for the first time, I wasn't afraid of that.